This is a Mark 1 Kia Picanto. I know what you're thinking. You're wondering why the heck you should stay tuned to watch a video about a knackered old city car. Well, don't worry, because I'm going to try and make this review a little bit more interesting. I'm also going to use it as an opportunity to talk about the joy that is living with a cheap old car. I have to say, I'm pleasantly surprised. I was expecting to hate this. I don't think I've smiled so much driving a car for ages. So then, just quickly, what is this car? Well, as I've said, it is a Mark 1 Kia Picanto, and this, according to what I've read, is the car that helped cement Kia and its place in the British marketplace back in the mid-noughties. This one in particular is a mid-spec LX model. So what does that mean? Well, you've got electric mirrors, electric windows all round, air conditioning and a slightly bigger engine. The best thing about this car though is you can pick it up from as little as 600 quid. Okay, so that's all well and good, but what about some of the charm and the joy that comes with owning a small cheap car? Well, we'll start on the outside, and I will admit it's quite hard to be sort of positive about the looks of this. The sort of closest thing I think this resembles is some sort of insect, but the sort of short overhangs, the flat sides and the overall sort of small dinky proportions of this car are a major plus. Now I say that because this is a sort of car which is often bought as a first car, and you're not going to find anything that's much easier than this to park. Now another positive with a car that costs so little is when something like this happens down here, you just treat it as a lesson, chalk it up as character and move on. Can't really beat that. Talking from my experience with my cheap Saab, I know I keep banging on about that, the ability to just park it anywhere and not really worry and be too protective about the car is a major plus. Okay, so we managed to find some positives when talking about the outside of the car, but we might struggle a little bit more now we're going to talk about the practicality and overall space on offer. But you'll be surprised to learn that this Kia Picanto, thanks to its 5 doors and high roofline, is actually surprisingly spacious in the back. This driving position is sort of nearly in my knees, but the driver, well, this has been set up for a driver who is about 6'2", and I'm 5'11". There is also plenty of headroom, and that is a bit of a surprise to be honest. Where things do fall apart a little bit though is around the back with the boot. So what have we got in the boot then? We've got all of 220 litres. Now, as I say in all of my videos, it's quite hard to know what that means. So for this video, I've tried to think of a way of visualising it, and that is using this box. Now, I'm hoping if I edit this properly, you'll see how easy this fits in the back of the Saab. And okay, I'll admit that is a much bigger car, but fundamentally that fits in there, and in here we have sort of no chance. My cousin has pointed out though that with the seats down, and if you sort of make the most of the space available, you can fit plenty in here. As you can see, the roof rack means you can carry, what is it, 4 kayaks on here? You can have up to 4 kayaks on the roof, which is quite impressive really. It's also quite impressive how roof racks make any vehicle look like a lifestyle car. Right, now I always struggle with the interior bits of videos, it's going to be no exception in this one. So what have we got? Well, first impressions are you sit fairly high up to be honest, which is to be expected in a sort of small car like this. Most of them are the same. Also to be expected, the materials on offer aren't the highest of quality, but at least it's going to be durable. My cousin just pointed out the stereo's half decent, and yeah, other than that I'm kind of struggling. It is what you'd expect in here. I guess the charm is sort of in the simplicity really. There ain't an awful lot to go wrong, although he has also pointed out the electric mirrors don't work, and neither does the washer jets for the windscreen wipers, but we'll gloss over that. Right, I'm aware this is very self-indulgent, but I just love seeing the size difference between the Picanto and the Saab. But anyway, what about some performance stats? Well, as I hinted to at the start of this video, the LX got a slightly bigger engine than the base spec car, all of 1.1 litres versus a tiny 1 litre. As you'd expect, that means the numbers aren't huge. You get 64 brake horsepower and 90 Newton meters of torque. The top speed is 96 miles an hour, and the 0-60 time is 15.1 seconds. Now let's join me and my absolute unit of a cousin Oliver to see what my thoughts were. Wow, this feels different. So first impressions are, it's like driving a clown car. Well, you probably don't know, I've not set the driving position up particularly well, but I'm sat really high up, really close to the steering wheel. Pedals are down on the floor. The biting point's all the way up here, so I keep giving it too much throttle. But the kind of charm of something like this is, like I said, with the interior. It's just with the simplicity of the whole thing, because you just, what more do you want? This is back to basics driving, and it does the job. It's obviously I've literally just pulled off, so I can't really give you masses of details, but the throttle response is nice and crisp, which is something you don't get in turboed modern cars. Brakes there, they felt nice and responsive, and actually it feels like good fun to throw it down this lane. Just give it a bit of a second gear pull. Right, so there's a lot of noise and we've gone up to 40 miles an hour. But as I said, the joy of a car like this is in its simplicity, and obviously with a car that's got a 1.1 litre engine, you don't expect it to be particularly sprightly. Once underway it feels muscular enough though, to be fair, mate. Mate, I'm having far too much fun considering I'm in a model Kia Picanto. You know, it handles alright, to be fair. There isn't a massive amount of roll, considering this one's even got a kayak on the roof. Feels alright, mate. I think perhaps the biggest negative is the noise, though. The noise and the overall sort of build quality that is lacking. Again, I don't know if I've used the other clip, but the sounds are quite intrusive. So the engine isn't a particularly pleasant one. It doesn't make a particularly pleasant sound. You get quite a lot of tyre noise coming in, quite a lot of wind noise. Kind of to be expected on a sort of little city car. Kind of subtracts from the experience. But don't get me wrong, this is a hoot to drive, and I think that's the charm of a small, cheap car. And of course, the other good thing about a car like this is it's only got a 1.1 litre engine. The fuel economy is going to be really good. I'm not sure, is there a trip meter on it that tells you the fuel economy? No. Well, online it says that you should be getting around 55 miles per gallon out of something like this, which again, if this is a first car or a cheap runabout, is a really good figure. Also, with it being a fairly basic 4-cylinder 1.1 litre engine, maintenance shouldn't cost you an awful lot of money either. So how do we conclude this video? Well, I'm not about to tell you that this is the best car in the world, because it's not. But what it is an honest way of getting about for not an awful lot of cash. Thanks to its pocket-sized dimensions, it is extremely easy and surprisingly fun to tootle about in. Also, because of some of its flaws, it is a car that has plenty of charm, and charm is often something that you can't put a price on. Now, I'm aware that is possibly a bit of an overly poetic way to end this video, but I've been Blee, thanks for watching and please subscribe.